favorite against Nebraska in Morgan Scalley's first game as head coach for Kyle Whittingham, who is now at Michigan. And then our first CFP quarter, the Cotton Bowl, Miami and Ohio State to round out the night. All right, here are the 3 CFP games on New Year's Day, beginning with Oregon, Texas Tech in the Orange Bowl. That's the tightest spread of any CFP game. Then it's Bama, Indiana in the Rose Bowl, where it's expected to rain. And the Sugar Bowl capping things off on New Year's night. Ole Miss and Georgia in a rematch of a wild game in the regular season. We are going to hit the New Year's Day CFP games with our crew. I'm Chris Hassel with Sportsline's Mackenzie Brooks. We got our former player, Lige Douzable, and the host of the Cover 3 podcast, Chip Patterson, who's going to be at the Rose Bowl tomorrow. Right. That is where we kick things off. And that is why I was about 10 minutes late getting into work today, because I got behind a cavalcade of police cars.
I'm sorry. I told them to clear the road and make it fast. It was for me.
It wasn't for me or you, Chip. It was for the Texas Tech team going to the beach, I guess, before tomorrow's game. Wow. You're going to be there, and we're going to look at this game from both angles as Texas Tech takes on Oregon. And the top storyline for the Oregon Ducks is likely what happened to them last season. You know, they went in as the #1 overall seed, and they lost in this round, Lige.
Yeah, and before we get into the X's and O's of this, literally, Dan Lanning, there's some questions, right? Because when you look at James Franklin, similar pass, right? Everybody kept saying, can he win the big game? Well, this man made it to the semifinal, Chip, and they still fired him. Well, when you look at Dan Lanning, right, they go and win the Big Ten championship throughout in the regular season. Then they get boat raced by Ohio State. Now, they win the Pac-12 the year before that, and then they lose again. And then this year, Indiana at home, you have them at your place, and you don't get it done. So when you're looking at Dan Lanning, people are going to start putting him in that grouping with James Franklin. Can he get it done? We all expected him to beat JMU, right? It's the Jimmy and the Joes. They had better Jimmy and Joes than JMU did. But now you have a team in Texas Tech where a lot of people will still expect you to win in advance. Can you get it done? Yes, you got to the CFP last year, but you got boat raced by a divisional foe in Ohio State. Now you have an opportunity to right that ship and beat Texas Tech.
To your point, this is the 3rd straight year that the Oregon Ducks will be playing on January 1st. Congratulations, you're one of those teams that's always showing up on New Year's Day. We're always seeing you on TV. But if we keep seeing you lose on January 1st, then all of a sudden it's going to be impacting the reputation in a negative sense. Hearing from Dan Lanning actually this morning, they are taking lessons from what they had last year. They are looking at what they can do to improve, but also they're leaning on the leadership and the players that have been a part of being there year after year after year. Mateo Uyunglele, the juniors, the seniors, the players that have been developed in-house in Eugene. So there's a lot reputationally that's on the line for the Ducks, and they definitely understand that.
And I'm always the first one to say, and I'll admit this, I talk about Texas Tech, and I always say, who have you played? I'm willing to pay to find out, right? I need to pay to be able to see this. Have you played a team with a pulse? I guess you could argue a similar situation for Oregon, too. And the one team they did play in Indiana, they lost to. So you hear a lot from the media, myself included, about this Texas Tech team playing in the Big 12. Do they have the strength of schedule to really support the stats they have? Interesting that we don't say that too much about Oregon here, but they are in a similar boat to me.
Oregon, one of the best rushing teams in the country. They're averaging close to 6 yards per carry. That's #2 in the country, behind only Utah. Chip, and I think all of you are looking at that Oregon rushing attack when you look at a specific area where Oregon has to be successful.
Yeah, it is about depth at the position. And that's another thing. Dan Lanning talks about strengths and numbers. He talks about the fact that Noah Whittington is the leader. Rashad Samples, the running backs coach, sets a standard. And that's when you've got players like De'Aaron Hill, who shows up as a freshman. And when his number gets called, he is ready to go. Jordan Davison shows up as a freshman. He is ready to go. And what do they always talk about? They talk about 1,000 cuts, right? They will slowly wear you down. And that is the thing to me about this rushing attack that allows it to be successful. They have a great offensive line, but the offensive line has dealt with injuries throughout the season. It is a deep running back room where whoever gets tapped on the helmet to go in next, they're ready to go and keep that high standard.
Yeah, Chip, styles make fights, and this will determine the game, right? You're looking at this rushing attack that's so potent, rushing over 215 yards a game. When you go back and look at the one game where they had a struggle, it was the Indiana game. They rushed for under 90 yards that game. Adversely, when you look at this Texas Tech defense, the best run defense in football. So this is where the game is going to be won and lost in the trenches. When you got guys like Lee Hunter, right, David Bailey on the outside. You also have Jacob Rodriguez at linebacker. It's going to be tough to run the football. But you know Dan Lanning's mantra, he wants to be a physical group that runs the football. So when I look at this game, whoever wins that battle in the trenches is going to win this game, because if you're Oregon, you do not want Texas Tech to make you one-dimensional. We saw what happened in the Indiana game. Dante Moore, 2 late interceptions because he had to throw the football. That's not how they want to live. They want to be able to run the ball. So this is going to determine the game. Whichever team shows up, whether Oregon running the ball or that front 7 from Texas Tech stopping the run, that's going to determine who wins this game.
And this Oregon team, I saw them firsthand when they went to Iowa, and that was a really difficult game for Oregon, maybe their best win of the season. I couldn't believe how they ran it against the Iowa defense, 261 yards. I know that was your key for the Oregon team as well, Mackenzie. But going over to the Texas Tech side, look, they play in the Big 12. This is a huge moment for the Big 12. They almost got it last year with Arizona State, but now the lights are bright.
Yeah, I mean, it's a poetic game. Like I said this about the Miami-Texas A&M game. You have the ACC versus the SEC. You know, this is like Miami's chance to prove for the ACC, Texas Tech's a chance to prove for the Big 12. And again, I'm so willing to be wrong, and I'm so willing to, you know, say hand up, I was wrong here. But I can't help but think 70% of the success and these crazy stats and historic numbers you're seeing is because of the talent and the NIL money and everything they spent. I would say around 30% of that is a legitimate downfall of the offenses in the Big 12 as a whole this season. Everybody is averaging less points than they were last season. So I do want to give them their flowers for what they have done and the improvements they have made. I just need to see it against a team like Oregon, though, to believe it.
And to that point, my key is Baron Morton. Right, when you look at him versus those AP-ranked teams, he struggled. I think he's completing less than 60% of his passes now. He's been able to lean on the defense and at times the run game. To me, he's got to make the subsequent throws down the field to Caleb Douglas to open up the run game for Dickey and Williams in the backfield. That's the key for Texas Tech. Baron Morton, I know he's been banged up a majority of the year. The only game the Red Raiders lost, he didn't partake in because he was hurt. So he has to be able to make those subsequent throws. Hopefully the extra time off chip will aid him in being healthy in this game, because I think that's been a big concern for the Red Raider offense. But if he's healthy enough and he can throw the ball down the field, I think that will open up the run game for the Red Raiders.
Different parts of the country have different kinds of barbecue, different kind of ways that they like to eat meat. Yeah. You know what Texas Tech does? They leave a lot of meat on the bone. Yeah. This is a Texas Tech offense that frequently gets good field position advantage because of their defense. They are able to eventually march down the field. They are not good at all compared to everything else they do in terms of taking advantage of red zone opportunities and going and getting touchdowns. Sometimes a field goal is 3, sometimes a field goal is -4. Now, when you've got the opponent in a chokehold, it's 3. But when you're going up against Dante Moore, when you've got an Oregon rushing attack that can go against some of the best defenses in the country and still be productive, then that could end up being a -4 type situation. So for this Texas Tech team, they won 12 games all by 20-plus points. 12 wins by 20-plus points. And you know what I think? I think there should have been more by 30 points and 35 points because of all the times that they weren't able to take advantage of red zone opportunities and turn them into touchdowns. In a game like this, and an opponent like this, the toughest opponent that they played all year, they've got to be able to capitalize on the opportunities when they get them.
And the one tight game they played in, they lost to Arizona State. As you mentioned, Morton didn't play in that game. So a little bit different there. This is the tightest spread of all the CFP quarterfinals. You can find it anywhere from 2.5 to 3. We've got it at 2.5 here. This is a noon Eastern time kick down here in Miami, where it's actually pretty chilly, but the weather shouldn't be a factor at all. When you look at this spread, Lige, what do you see?
I'm taking Texas Tech money line. I don't want the points.
Guns up.
For everything I talked about, right? I know this is a potent rushing attack from Oregon, but I think you do have to give a little bit of respect to Utah and BYU and how they run the ball. And Texas Tech choked them out in the run game, and they literally made them one-dimensional. That front 7 for Texas Tech might be the best in the nation. I know, Mackenzie, you talked about the NIL money. It was money well spent for Texas Tech because they have been dominant up front. I do believe that Baron Morton, the extra time off, will aid him in being able to throw the ball down the field to open up the run game. They'll make Oregon one-dimensional, and the one time we saw that, Oregon lost, right, to Indiana earlier this year. So I'm taking Texas Tech money line.
I'm on the opposite side here. Listen, this is good for TV, right? Yeah. I do think Oregon covers here. Texas Tech's defense is so phenomenal, and I don't want to take away from that, but can you score enough points at this point in the playoff to win a playoff game, right? Especially against an explosive offense like Oregon. And we forget that this defense is pretty strong, too. Like, this is a well-rounded team, and I don't want to take away from that at all here. Another way to look at it, if you want to get a little cute here, is the first half or the first quarter with Oregon. This is a team historically that starts out so fast, even going back to last season as well. A team comfortable on the road as well. So I think Dan Lanning in that first half might be the way to take this as well.
A lot of respect for all the defenses. That is true. But this is the number 1 and the number 2 most explosive offenses. 91 plays of 20-plus yards for Oregon. 90 plays of 20-plus yards for Texas Tech. I do think both offenses scoot a little bit. My score, Oregon 29, Texas Tech 22. And I will say that's with 5 field goals from a Red Raiders offense that cannot punch in.
So you think the red zone issues are going to cost them?
It's been an issue all year for them.
Yeah. All right, this is the only matchup between 2 top 10 scoring offenses and defenses. So we'll see what gives tomorrow, noon Eastern time down here. Chip is going to be there on site at the Orange Bowl covering it with Danny Cannell and the Cover 3 podcast. These teams played a couple of years ago in Lubbock. Oregon winning by 8. Texas Tech has never beaten the Ducks, 0-3 all time. Up next, we'll preview the Rose Bowl. It's going to be wet. Indiana out of the Big Ten. Bama out of the SEC. We break it down from all angles on the other side.
This isn't just combat. It's cinema.
Ready or not, here I come. Let's go! Are you not entertained?
The new home of UFC, Paramount Plus.
In the Champions League, every picture tells a story, and every great story
Would you believe this?
needs an audience.
It's a really special moment.
The UEFA Champions League, every goal, every game, live on Paramount Plus.
Montana throwing in the end zone. Caught it. Intercepted. Polamalu takes it home. Denver's going to win it on the first play of overtime. For the win. He caught it.
For decades, CBS Sports has brought you iconic moments that define the NFL postseason. Count on us when the next great one unfolds. The NFL playoffs on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus.
My name is Jeffrey Manchester. I robbed 45 McDonald's.
Good morning, team.
And I've been living in a toy store for 6 months.
Authorities everywhere are on the hunt for the roof man.
But that wasn't even the crazy part.
I would like to introduce you to someone. Would you go out with me?
I would very much like to go out on a date with you.
You're not good at being a criminal.
Whatever you do, you can quit right now.
Oops. What exactly is your plan?
So what's the plan?
The biggest and wildest mission yet comes home.
I like the sound of that.
It's nerve-shredding, heart-pounding, and delivers on every level. Tom Cruise.
I need you to trust me. One last time.
Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Now streaming on Paramount Plus.
We're partners, barely a month. Look how well we're doing.
No, we're not partners. I already told you that. Oh, you're playing with the devil's money.
What do I do now?
It's gonna blow.
Yours is a business that needs money to grow.
Being rich isn't my dream. It's yours.
As a gangster now, it's like I'm looking into a mirror.
Landman, new season, now streaming, only on Paramount Plus.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars. What a difference she has made.
The question is, can you handle it?
Can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
You can't count on honk
Oh, Tony, I think it hit the ground.
but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
Rose Bowl, lots of red. The Roses, the Crimson Tide, the Hoosiers. Indiana hasn't played at the Rose Bowl since the 60s. Bama was just there a couple of years ago, losing to Michigan in that epic overtime game, the last game under Nick Saban, and their last playoff appearance. Chris Hassel with Mackenzie Brooks, Lige Douzable, and Chip Patterson to break down tomorrow's Rose Bowl. And this is a mid-afternoon game. It's always the same start time for this thing, but we might not see the sunset because of the rain in the forecast. And Chip, such a different outlook for Alabama. This is the largest underdog they've been since 2008.
I think that for Alabama, you have to take into consideration two things in terms of the start of this game. Number one, Indiana being without one of its best pass rushers in Stephen Daly suffered a freak injury during the celebration of the Big Ten championship. He leads the team in tackles for loss. But number two is that Kalen DeBoer has had a lot of time to put together the script to be able to try to pick apart and give Ty Simpson some confidence, to be able to give this Alabama offense a hot start. And we have seen a lot of times that if Alabama does get off to a hot start, then it's going to give them a better chance throughout the entire game. You're not asking them to come back from a deficit when the run game is just not all that effective. So Kalen DeBoer, I've often joked that he should win an Academy Award for his script writing, but he really is a great game planner, play caller for those first 15. If they can jump out and jump over an Indiana team missing one of its best front seven players, that could be a way that the Crimson Tide punch first.
And Chip, you talked about the run game. That's where I'm going to go because it's been abysmal all year long. Can they have some semblance of a run game? Because just some semblance of it. Because you take some pressure off Ty Simpson. You don't want to just drop him back 30 to 40 times a game and expect him to be Mr. Superman, right? Jam Miller, Daniel Hill, Ty Simpson. Get Ty Simpson involved. He's an athlete. Get him involved. He's very mobile. And sometimes when it's not their Ty, use your mobility to scramble and get first downs. My thing is, if you allow Indiana to make you one-dimensional, it's going to be a long day for you because they're plus 17 in the turnover margin. If they can just pin their ears back and get after you and send exotic blitzes, it's going to be a long day for Ty Simpson. So they have to do a good job of minimizing the pressure on him by having some semblance of a run game. And I know that's a tall task to ask, Chip, because they haven't done it all year long. But today would be a great day to do it.
It's suck less at running the ball. Like, truly, I'm not asking for like these crazy numbers. Like, we have this as a 1-point game, and I look why. It's because we have Ty Simpson with the passing edge in the air. But if you can just add, instead of being negative 45 on the ground to just negative 20 on the ground, like some type of pulse to help out Ty Simpson the way you were mentioning it, Lige, that opens up this offense tremendously. So I do think at their ceiling with Ty Simpson playing his best football, again, we talk about that SEC championship, I take off my Georgia fan hat, and I do say they did have a lot of injuries that should be healthier now. We could see a way better version of this team, but if you're Alabama, this is probably the best situation you can be in if you're going to play a top 4 seed, because this is an Indiana defense that can allow explosive plays, and Alabama is everything of an explosive offense at their peak.
Yeah, at least through the air, because on the ground, as you mentioned, not good. 120th in the country out of 136 teams.
It's crazy to even think Alabama is in that realm.
I mean, we're talking to Damian Harris all the time, and think back to those teams and Derrick Henry and Mark Ingram, and this is not like those teams. If they can get a little bit, though, it could go a long way. On the Indiana side, Lige, what does the Heisman winner need to do in this game that maybe he hasn't had to do a lot of during the season?
Yeah, he's done it at spurts, but I think he needs to use his mobility to get out of the pocket and make some throws down the field. We've seen it at spurts throughout games. We saw it in the Penn State game when they needed it the most on that last drive. So for Fernando Mendoza, you talked about it could be inclement weather. On some of those zone reads, let him get to the edge and get into the end zone. He's not the greatest athlete, but he has enough mobility, Chip, to hurt your defense, and he's very comfortable throwing on the run. So I think if they get the Heisman winner on the edge, it bode well for the Hoosiers.
When Fernando Mendoza went up against the likes of Iowa or against the likes of Oregon or against the likes of Penn State and Ohio State, you would say, yeah, those are some of the toughest defenses he faced. They were also all defenses that picked off Fernando Mendoza. Yeah. His touchdown to interception ratio against almost everybody else is sterling, but he has been letting himself maybe force a throw that he thinks he can make. And those free possessions that Alabama could gain, those are the ways you get inside the head of an Indiana team that has not been here before. Because as much as Fernando Mendoza and Pat Coogan, their starting center, they embrace the band of misfits. Like, can you guys believe that we came from the FCS and Division II and all over. And like they really rally around this, and it is charming. But you are playing in the Rose Bowl against Alabama, and if all of a sudden you let this game start to get a little bit slippery, Oklahoma's mistakes allowed Alabama to get back into the game. Indiana cannot be giving the Crimson Tide free possessions.
Well, an even scarier version of Alabama is an Alabama playing with house money. Like right now, they're the underdog story, and we saw how that worked out for a team like Miami here. So I go back to last year when all 4 of those top seeds that got a bye all got boat raced out of the playoff here. We should be remembering that situation because Alabama, with the momentum they have, they're getting healthier. They're honestly starting to peak again at a good time here. Like the charming story of Indiana is great, but again, they haven't been under this much pressure. The one who's supposed to beat everyone here, they used to be the one playing with house money. So it's going to be a very different mentality for them, one that I hope they are ready for. But again, Alabama, 1 or 2 big plays early, like you mentioned, starting hot. That will be a great deciding factor to me, and I think a reason they could cover the first half.
You have to wonder, does Alabama have a little bit of an edge because they got to play a playoff game and Indiana has not? Going back to last year, I know the format's different, Chip.
Yeah.
But 0-4, the teams that had byes. 0-4 in the quarterfinal round, and Indiana playing their first playoff game in really any game of this magnitude ever.
Okay, well, step 1, I agree. Okay, so positivity first. Step 2, we also had those teams that got the fast pass to the quarterfinal.
Different format.
Different format, Boise State, Arizona State. But I think it's undeniable they get a chance to play, and especially getting a chance to play on the road, because that is a trend that did not continue from last year. The home teams all won those games. We saw Miami, and yes, we saw the Alabama Crimson Tide be able to go into another stadium. I think that environment, right, going out away from your home crowd, and then being able to stay in the hotel, go on the road, so whether it's getting the blood moving again, Texas Tech, and I'm sure Indiana and everybody else, they have been talking about ways that they are trying to make sure that they are not at a disadvantage at the fact that they played on December 6th.
Correct.
And their opponent has already gotten a chance to work off the rust a little bit.
It's crazy to see this kind of line. Alabama getting this many points. First time in 17 years we've seen Alabama get this many points, and it's against an Indiana team that a couple of years ago was nothing as a program. And now you've got the line moving as well, because, I mean, you saw it at 6.5. Now it's up to 7.5, Lige.
Yeah, that hook scares me, though. I think Vegas is trying to trick everybody. You said it. Alabama's been in this spot before. Indiana, they went to the CFP and got boat raced in the first round last year. I'm actually going to take the Crimson Tide to cover the 7.5. Now, if it was 6.5, I'd probably go the Hoosiers' way. But I think that hook scares me, Chip. I think it's literally going to be a 7-point game. It's going to come down to the wire. Give me Alabama plus 7.5.
Now we're back in the line tier, Lige. I do think Alabama covers here. I don't know if I agree with the 1-point spread that Sportsline Model is making it, but I do think they can cover this game. From a sheer raw talent and size perspective, they do have a chance to win this game if they can start hot and they can have those explosive plays as well.
Lay 'em. Okay, so my official call here is going to be 31-23. That's not like an overwhelming cover, but it certainly is a cover.
Yep.
I think Alabama might have played at Super Bowl going into Norman with all the pressure that they had on them. And is Kalen DeBoer going to go to Michigan and all that? They have already had the big win that validates who they were this season, that validates their presence in the college football playoff. I think Indiana's chip on the shoulder remains, even though the rankings have them as the 1. They're the only team with a 0 in the loss column. There is something about Curt Cignetti, and it saw it in the Big Ten championship, because you get off the bus and Ohio State was like, whoa, they're going to mop the floor with these guys. Look at how they look in warm-ups, before they put their pads on. But they are just in the right spot every single time. They are the most well-coached team in America, and that is why they are in this position, and I think they're not going to get knocked off here.
And why Curt Cignetti might end up with the most wins through 2 seasons at a school of any coach in college football history. If he wins on New Year's Day, he would tie Kalen DeBoer with 25 in his first 2 seasons at a school, and then a chance to add 2 more to this total as well. One more New Year's Day playoff game to preview, and it's the night clash. And it's a rematch of a fantastic game that we saw in Athens earlier this year.
This isn't just combat. It's cinema.
Ready or not, here I come. Let's go! Are you not entertained?
the new home of UFC, Paramount Plus.
In the Champions League, every picture tells a story, and every great story
Would you believe this?
needs an audience.
It's a really special moment.
The UEFA Champions League, every goal, every game, live on Paramount Plus.
Montana throwing in the end zone. Caught it. Intercepted. Polamalu takes it home. Denver's going to win it on the first play of overtime. For the win. He caught it.
For decades, CBS Sports has brought you iconic moments that define the NFL postseason. Count on us when the next great one unfolds. The NFL playoffs on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus.
My name is Jeffrey Manchester. I robbed 45 McDonald's.
Good morning, Pete.
And I've been living in a toy store for 6 months.
Authorities everywhere are on the hunt for the roof man.
But that wasn't even the crazy part.
I would like to introduce you to someone. Would you go out with me?
I would very much like to go out on a date with you. You're not good at being a criminal.
Whatever you do, you can quit right now.
Oops. What exactly is your plan? So what's the plan?
The biggest and wildest mission yet comes home.
I like the sound of that.
It's nerve-shredding, heart-pounding, and delivers on every level. Tom Cruise.
I need you to trust me. One last time.
Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Now streaming on Paramount Plus.
We're partners, barely a month. Look how well we're doing. No, we're not partners. I already told you that. Well, you're playing with the devil's money.
What do I do now?
He's gonna blow. Yours is a business that needs money to grow.
Being rich isn't my dream. It's yours.
Who's a gangster now? It's like I'm looking into a mirror.
Landman, new season, now streaming, only on Paramount Plus.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars. What a difference she has made.
The question is, can you handle it?
Can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
You can't count on Derek's tongue skills.
Oh, Tony, I think it hit the ground.
But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
The Sugar Bowl, New Year's night, a rematch of a shootout between Georgia and Ole Miss. The Dogs winning 43-35 in Athens. This Ole Miss team playing its second straight rematch in the CFP. They beat Tulane a second time this season in the first round. 1918, the last time they lost to the same team twice. 1910, the Tennessee Doctors didn't stand a chance. Ole Miss won both of those meetings. We've got Chip, we've got Leger, we've got Ken's, and we've got Ole Miss did not force a punt against your Georgia Bulldogs in that first meeting. It was a fantastic game. It was whoever had the ball last, basically. Whoever could force a punt was going to win.
Right.
Georgia did that. Ole Miss didn't. That has to be where you start with Ole Miss, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's been their biggest weakness all season, has been their defense. And obviously they can put up 80 gajillion points, but they can also allow 80 gajillion points, to put it in coding data words here. Yeah. I mean, this is legitimately a team that scored on every single drive against that defense. And now that defensive coordinator is your head coach. So as a Georgia fan,
I like how you did that, Kenzie.
I like the way things are going.
I don't know, but now he has more control. Maybe more control defensively.
What I will say is, I think beating a quality team is so hard to do twice in a season. I'm not so sure we're getting the exact same Ole Miss team without Lane Kiffin here. So again, that's something I always like to say. But again, we saw with with Oklahoma and Alabama, this is not going to be the same Ole Miss team, in my opinion.
Yeah, Chip. I mean, what can Ole Miss do to maybe hold them to 10 or 15 fewer points in this game?
They have to force turnovers. They've got to onside kick. Steal possessions in any way possible. I mean, think about what we saw against Tulane.
Yeah.
Tulane moved the ball very effectively and even probably could have scored more when you look at the yards that they were able to pick up in that game. Jake Retzlaff did a good job of moving the ball against them. I kind of think that a Georgia offense that has also just continued to get a little bit better. I will be monitoring, the offensive line, which of course you lose Drew Bobo. That's a very, very big deal. And we have seen some of that be a little bit tough for them to be able to get over in terms of on a down-to-down basis. The SEC championship game flipped in terms of the leverage of the battle so that they weren't really forced to push things offensively, play a little bit of field position. But I think that for Ole Miss, you've got to find a defensive caliber that, frankly, has not been there against a Georgia offense that has been very, very good throughout the year. Again, what I saw from Tulane was alarming if I'm an Ole Miss fan going into this game.
And to that point, Chip, my train of thought is, can they handle the physicality of the run game for Georgia? Because when you look at that game, even though they were down by 9 in the fourth quarter, most people would abandon the run. They stayed to their script, and that's what got them over the top in that game versus Ole Miss. So they got bludgeoned in the run game versus Georgia for over 220 yards on the ground. And when you look at that, that's my concern going into this game. Like you said, Tulane was able to move the ball. They just turned it over.
Right.
So can Ole Miss stand up to the physicality, which is the run game for Georgia? That is going to be, to me, one of the big determining factors in this game because, to your point, Mackenzie, Ole Miss can score with the best of them, right? And by script, they want to be in the league. What happens if they're down in this game? Like, that's a serious question to ask, right? Because Georgia can salt the game away, how physical they are with the run game.
And even though Georgia gave up a lot of points in this matchup, 35, they've done much better defensively since then. But I think it's 4 straight games.
I forgot what a sack was that first half.
I was like, they've been way better rushing the passer the last 4 or 5 games.
I'm texting in my group chat, and we're like, I don't remember our defense ever looking like this the past few years.
4 straight games where they've allowed 10 or fewer. They haven't allowed, since that game, 6-game winning streak since then, even though they won that game as well, so the winning streak goes back further. In the 6 games since, they haven't given up more than 21 points per game. So on that Georgia side, where are you looking defensively?
Yeah, it's Trinidad Chambliss. They got to keep him in the pocket. He led them in rushing in this matchup earlier in the year. They are one of the best run-stopping teams in all the land. So I'm not worried about them stopping, Keywan Lacey in the run game. It's more Trinidad Chambliss and his off-platform, off-script plays. If Georgia can do this, and me and Mackenzie were just talking about this, they had really struggled getting after the quarterback, but they've done significantly better the last couple of weeks. You have to keep Trinidad Chambliss in the pocket. To me, that's the key for the Georgia defense.
So 76 is an important number I'm keeping my eye on. 76 is the number of inches in 6 foot 4 inches. 6'4" is Colby Young, the Georgia wide receiver who got injured in the Ole Miss game and has been missing from this passing attack. And so that's why you look and it's been Zachariah Branch to the left, Zachariah Branch to the right, Zachariah Branch to the left, Zachariah Branch to the right. And they've still been able to be productive. They've still been able to win, but I think Colby Young's a really, really good player. He's an old player. He's got a lot of experience. And if this does turn into a shootout, if Trinidad Chambliss is able to get it going, then I think being able to have one of your best wide receivers back to provide some balance to what Branch can do in the quick game, I think that is absolutely huge for Gunnar Stockton.
And for the love of God, provide it early. Like this Georgia offense at times of this year, at times of last year, they start so slow. And not in a way that I ever really panic because Kirby Smart is the best in the business, in my opinion. And what he does in that locker room during halftime is beyond me, but whatever it is, it works, right? I mean, second halves with this team, third quarters with this team specifically, but if you could just give yourself some wiggle room and not be playing catch up to some of these teams with a strong pulse, which has kind of been their issue throughout the season, they can get the job done, but make it easier for yourself, right? Don't be chasing the way they have so often the past 2 seasons here. So if they can get out early with Gunnar, again, they've been here, they've been in the Sugar Bowl before, the familiarity hopefully will help them get a hot start.
Cans, it's gentlemanly, all right? You don't want to come out and be too loud early, all right? You just want to ease into the game.
They eased into their one loss too easily. They fell behind 14-0 to Alabama, and that's the one time they lost 24-21 early this season. All right, pick time. Georgia is a 6.5-point favorite. This is not the largest spread of the college football quarterfinals, but Chip, I heard you talking upstairs in the newsroom that you would be the most surprised.
Yep.
The biggest upset in your mind would be if Ole Miss can win this game. What's your prediction?
I think that I've got Georgia 34-17, maybe in one of those games that doesn't even feel that close. Miami could beat Ohio State, and I would not be stunned. You could see Alabama beat Indiana. I would not be stunned. Obviously, a coin flip in the Orange Bowl between Texas Tech and Oregon. But if this Ole Miss team, with everything that they've got going on, with assistant coaches who legitimately, because this game's in New Orleans, have been driving back and forth to Baton Rouge to plan the transfer portal heist that they are about to have for the Tigers. I mean, Lane Kiffin tweets a photo of his staff getting ready to work the portal, and immediately Ole Miss fans are like, oh no, that's our acting quarterback coach who's right there. Like,
unreal.
This is chaotic is not even enough to describe it. So, yeah, I've got Georgia by 17 as my official prediction. But again, the biggest stunner for me would be if Ole Miss, under all these circumstances, was able to pull together against a Dogs team. These young pups have grown up.
Yeah.
Kirby told us before the season as some of the most first and second year players he was ever going to have to play. And when we start to think about the transfer portal and talk to people around the industry, everyone's like, nah, Georgia's good. They're going to work on investing in who they've got. They're not shopping. Ooh. And that tells me that teams that get better throughout the year and they feel real good about the way they're playing, I think they win big here. And I think they could keep it going deep into this bracket.
I mean, talk about cinema from Chip Harris in there. I couldn't have said it better myself. Chills. Kirby Smart. Look, I just trust this guy. Like, truly, any roster he has, I'll be the first to admit, this felt like our least talented roster in 5 years, right? Sure. But if you have Kirby Smart, a lot of good things can still come your way. So I do think they can cover as well. A consistent trend I've been on is taking Georgia in these third quarters, in these fourth quarters, in the second half as well. I've even been on record giving out the opponent first half money line parlay with the Georgia second half money line. So trying not to be a homer here. I do think they can cover, but if you want to just take it to the second half, I think that's always a successful part.
Yeah, I'm with Chip. I think they cover is easy. It's just too much going on with Ole Miss, right? The offensive coordinator will be the offensive coordinator for LSU. So much of the coaching staff will be at LSU. There's just too much going on for Ole Miss. I think this will be a game where Lane Kiffin is missed the most, right? In a game, in a SEC opponent, you're playing them again. I think Georgia, again, the physicality in the run game in the trenches ultimately has the Dogs winning. Give me Georgia minus 6.5.
I think he's going to be there.
This is going to be hilarious if he is.
Is he getting another pay bump? Is he getting another bonus if they win this game, Lane?
I do not know how. I would assume so based on the way that the reporting went around his contractual payouts and those negotiations. But I just think it is it's quite a scene for us to be dealing with. Like if he shows up in the announcer's booth.
I was about to ask, will he be in the booth again? Will he be in the booth again?
He would never.
Will he stay for the whole game?
Well, he did it in the Texas Bowl. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was like, I'm going to go watch Ole Miss, the LSU team, of next year.
And maybe some hot yoga in the New Orleans area in the second half of this game. To Chip's point, Ole Miss is the longest shot to win the championship at 22-1. Georgia with the third shortest odds, plus 500 behind only the Big Ten, Big Two, Ohio State and Indiana. Ken says great value on her Dogs. The Sun Bowl coming up, top of the hour. And Kenny Dillingham in Arizona State taking on the ACC champion Duke Blue Devils. We'll have a preview from Jenny Dell coming up.
This isn't just combat. It's cinema.
Ready or not, here I come. Let's go! Are you not entertained?
The new home of UFC, Paramount Plus.
In the Champions League, every picture tells a story, and every great story
would you believe this?
needs an audience.
It's a really special moment.
The UEFA Champions League, every goal, every game, live on Paramount Plus.
Montana throwing in the end zone. Caught it. Intercepted. Polamalu takes it home. Denver's going to win it on the first play of overtime. For the win. He caught it.
For decades, CBS Sports has brought you iconic moments that define the NFL postseason. Count on us when the next great one unfolds. The NFL playoffs on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus.
My name is Jeffrey Manchester. I robbed 45 McDonald's.
Good morning, Pete.
And I've been living in a toy store for 6 months.
Authorities everywhere are on the hunt for the roof man.
But that wasn't even the crazy part.
I would like to introduce you to someone. Would you go out with me?
I would very much like to go out on a date with you.
You're not good at being a criminal.
Whatever you do, you can quit right now.
Oops.
What exactly is your plan?
So what's the plan? The biggest and wildest mission yet comes home.
I like the sound of that.
It's nerve-shredding, heart-pounding, and delivers on every level. Tom Cruise.
I need you to trust me. One last time.
Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Now streaming on Paramount Plus.
We're partners barely a month. Look how well we're doing. No, we're not partners. I already told you that. Oh, you're playing with the devil's money.
What do I do now?
He's gonna blow! Yours is a business that needs money to grow.
Being rich isn't my dream. It's yours.
Who's the gangster now? It's like I'm looking into a mirror.
Landman, new season, now streaming, only on Paramount Plus.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars! What a difference she has made!
The question is, can you handle it?
Can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
Count on Derek's tonk skills.
Oh, Tony, I think it hit the ground.
But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
Time for our college football playoff parlay pick presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Play your game. Mackenzie Brooks has a pick from all 4 CFP quarterfinals that would net you plus 723 odds. Mackenzie, take us through, beginning with that Alabama-Miami game.
Yeah, you know, you got to go.
I'm sorry, Alabama's not playing Miami. The Alabama pick that you have.
Yes, but we're taking Alabama regardless, and we're doing it in the first half. We're leaving the second half up to other people, okay? I don't want any business with it. Alabama, outside of that first playoff game, they can start strong, right? I think this is a team that's warmed up. We're going to see a team that isn't warmed up, and that's kind of the trend of how I'm attacking betting these games in general. We're also going to Georgia in the third quarter. Death taxes second half Georgia Bulldogs football. I don't even want to know what's going on in the first half here, but whatever Kirby Smart does in that locker room, they will come out stronger. And then we're just going simple money lines here. Oregon money line. I like them against Texas Tech. I just don't think Texas Tech's offense can put up enough points here to support their defense. And Ohio State money line. A little bit chalky here, but we got 4 legs, so we're still getting to plus 700.
A lot of people upstairs thinking Miami can pull that upset.
Well, we are in South Florida.
As nearly double-digit favorites, but Mackenzie says, hey, play that money line and get yourself 7-to-1 odds. Scan that QR code right now and play with FanDuel Sportsbook. If you're already watching every playoff game, why not boost it? Every college football playoff game day, FanDuel giving you a profit boost to use on the action you're glued to. Download the app today and boost your winnings.
We are going bowling this afternoon on CBS with the Sun Bowl. Duke coming in on a 3-game winning streak, their first outright ACC title since 1962. Getting ready to take on Arizona State at 2 p.m. Eastern in El Paso, Texas. Both teams riding a little bit of momentum. Arizona State stumbled a little bit. They had a 3-game winning streak of their own until they lost to Arizona to finish out the regular season finale. The game is on CBS. Who will be on the sideline for that game? Well, it is none other than our very own Jenny Dell, who is tapped in with us now here on HQ. And Jenny, when we talk about Duke and mentioning them winning the ACC title and several key returners coming back next season, you look at Darian Mensah. From your combos that you had with Manny Diaz, how is he framing this game in a sense of trying to push the program forward?
I think you look at bowl games like this, you see so many opt-outs, and then you look at this Duke program, and they have their stars playing in this game. You mentioned Mensah in this, and, you know, he told me, Manny Diaz said that after the season ended, after that ACC championship win, they sat down and they had a real conversation about what is the next step? What does that look like? You know, they know that Mensah is going to get drafted in the NFL, but he wanted to sit down with his quarterback and say, do you feel prepared to succeed at that next level? And Mensah said, you know, I need to come back. I think I have another year under my belt, and I want to learn more so that I can make sure that I'm ready to go to that next level and succeed. They have such a strong bond. And you say that about a lot of teams, but sitting down with these Duke players yesterday, there is something special about this group. They're just so intentional, and that's the way that they're looking at this game. Manny Diaz called this a bridge game. So they're looking at this past season, the success that they had, and also pushing it forward to see where they can find success and get started the right way for next year.
So then on the other side, as you look at Duke basically having everyone available with a full roster, Arizona State, not the same situation for them, limited depth for sure. So what have you learned about the Sun Devils and how they're going to manage that roster today?
Limited depth. That's a perfect way to look at it. You see Duke's squad and they're pretty much full, and then Arizona State on the other side is a completely different situation. And sitting down with Kenny Dillingham, he said if you look at the numbers, there's really only 5 or 6 true opt-outs. There's about 34 players that are not going to be in this game. He said it's a mix of guys preparing for the NFL, transfers, but mostly players that were dealing with injuries towards the end of the year. They had a conversation with all these players after that last game that they had against Arizona, and they said, do you want to delay your healing process? Whether you're banged up for whatever reason, you need to get a surgery to fix something up. Does it make sense to start this process right after Thanksgiving and get going so you're ready to go for next season, or do you want to delay it a month? And a lot of the players chose to start that healing process right away. So roster depth is definitely in question in this one, but coach is looking at this as the next man up mentality and really an opportunity to figure out what this team could look like in the future. So we're going to see a lot of new names, but hey, it's bowl season and that's the way that it rolls, right?
Yeah, a lot of new names, but some faces that we are certainly used to seeing all the time, like you, of course, and like your partner, Gary Danielson, with this being the final broadcast for him before he calls it a career. I know you spent so much time working next to him, working beside him. How was everyone reflecting on Gary's impact, not only on the sport, but here at CBS Sports as well?
I can't even tell you the amount of times that tears have been shed just thinking about this moment and knowing that this is going to be Gary's last game. For anyone that's ever had the honor to work with him, he is the ultimate teammate. He understands and sees the game in a different way and can relay that to the crowd that's watching in a manner that I've never seen before. He puts in more work than anyone I've ever seen, and you know that I over-prepare in everything that I do. Gary's right there just showing how to do this at the highest level. And it has just been a complete honor to be one of his teammates. I think you look at how he's changed the game, really. College football, broadcasting in general, he is the standard, and it's going to be very different not having him up in the booth and hearing him in my ear. It has been just my greatest honor to be a part of this team. We have these special patches that were made by Duke that say Gary on them, so I know Brad and I are going to be wearing these throughout the game. They're going to be honoring him during halftime, so you got to tune in to see just how they're going to do that here at the Sun Bowl, and then we have something very special planned for post-game. So it's going to be an emotional day. Gary deserves it all. He didn't even want people to know, that this was going to be his last game. That's just the type of person that he is, but we are all here to celebrate and love on him.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, you have to celebrate the legends while they are here and can hear us, and we certainly look forward to today, 2 Eastern. Before I let you go, it is the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. I have to say, your fit looks great. So give us a fit check for us, Jenny.
I got to put on my Tony the Tiger sunnies first if we're going to do this properly. I had a company from Dallas, MKT, reach out, and they sent me this outfit, and I said, I know exactly when I'm going to wear this. So check out this fit. I feel like I fit in here in El Paso. I'm feeling real good about it. The sun is shining. I've done these games when it's been snowing out, so life is good right now. I'm feeling good. Looking good, right? Yeah, looking good. I got it from my crew, but that's fine. It's going to be a great day. Make sure to tune in.
Jenny, don't listen to the haters. Your fit looks great. You're rocking it. You're killing it. We appreciate it. Can't wait to get you back here in studio with us because we miss you here, Jenny. Happy New Year. Enjoy the game. We certainly will tune in to catch you at 2 Eastern for the Sun Bowl. Duke and Arizona State coming up in just a short amount of time on CBS and streaming on Paramount+.
This isn't just combat. It's cinema.
Ready or not, here I come. Let's go! Are you not entertained?
The new home of UFC, Paramount+.
In the Champions League, every picture tells a story, and every great story
Would you believe this?
needs an audience.
It's a really special moment.
The UEFA Champions League, every goal, every game, live on Paramount+.
Montana throwing in the end zone. Caught it! Intercepted. Polamalu takes it home. Denver's going to win it on the first play of overtime. For the win! He caught it!
For decades, CBS Sports has brought you iconic moments that define the NFL postseason. Count on us when the next great one unfolds. The NFL playoffs on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus.
My name is Jeffrey Manchester. I robbed 45 McDonald's.
Good morning, team.
And I've been living in a toy store for 6 months.
Authorities everywhere are on the hunt for the roof man.
But that wasn't even the crazy part.
I would like to introduce you to someone. Would you go out with me?
I would very much like to go out on a date with you.
You're not good at being a criminal.
Whatever you do, you can quit right now.
Oops. What exactly is your plan?
So what's the plan? The biggest and wildest mission yet comes home.
I like the sound of that.
It's nerve-shredding, heart-pounding, and delivers on every level. Tom Cruise.
I need you to trust me. One last time.
Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Now streaming on Paramount Plus.
We're partners, barely a month. Look how well we're doing. No, we're not partners. I already told you that. Oh, you're playing with the devil's money.
What do I do now?
He's gonna blow!
Yours is a business that needs money to grow.
Being rich isn't my dream. It's yours.
Who's a gangster now? It's like I'm looking into a mirror.
Land. New season now streaming only on Paramount Plus.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars! What a difference she has made!
The question is, can you handle it?
Can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
Can't count on Derek's tongue skills.
Oh, Tony, I think it hit the ground.
But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
The Sun Bowl coming up top of the hour on CBS. Festivities underway down in El Paso. It's Duke and Arizona State in a rematch of the 2014 Sun Bowl. It was a high-scoring game won by Arizona State, 36-31. That's the only other time these two teams have played. Duke obviously coming off that ACC championship win. All right, Chris, Mackenzie, Lige, and Chip here back with you on a very special day for CBS because this is it for Gary Danielson. This is going to be his final broadcast for CBS. Long, illustrious career that dates back even before he was at CBS. Chip, what are you going to remember most about Gary Danielson?
That for about a 3-year standpoint, before the Cover 3 podcast existed, it was the 24/7 Sports podcast, and before that it was the SEC on CBS podcast. And every single Tuesday, Gary Danielson would join me for a one-on-one chat for about 30 to 40 minutes to talk about the game. And in those conversations, which sometimes needed to be, connected by his wife, be able to get everything together, I just heard a true love of college football and wanting to be in service to the games themselves. He had such an understanding of place and of job and of duty that the fans at home that he was going to be talking to, he wanted to make sure that he poured into the research so that they would not feel like their team was being disrespected. And not everyone who steps into any booth ever is always able to be as selfless as I think Gary Danielson is. And that is one thing that I took notes of a long time ago, and one thing that I really hope to carry forward is that he always wanted to be in service to the game itself and respect what he was doing for the fans he was talking to.
That goes hand in hand with what he said when he was asked about, what are your favorite calls of all time? And he said, really, it's just when I didn't say anything. Just let the thing breathe. So for this game, we do have some opt-outs, a lot on the Arizona State side, and that is going to change things here. These are the key players who played in the last game of the regular season, and in Duke's case, the ACC championship game, who will not be playing in this game. Lige, Jordan Tyson on this list.
Yeah, and this is why my key to the game is quarterback Jeff Sims and running back Kanye Udoh, because I'm going to take the over-under and taking the over 50 rushing attempts between the two. Because of that list, you saw it, literally the whole side was mainly Arizona State's and their skill position players not playing. You see Raleek Brown there. He's not going to be able to go either this game. So Jeff Sims, you go back to that Iowa State game, nearly 30 carries in that game, over 200 yards rushing. I think you see that type of game plan just because they're going to be talent deficient on the outside at the receiver position. Look for them to be heavy, a heavy run team. Look for Jeff Sims and Kanye Udoh to have a big day running the football.
Yeah, Jeff Sims has to do it all on his own with his feet here. I think that would be their way to success, as you mentioned. Now, it sounds counterintuitive because they are without so many of their players and so many of their skill players. I would still take the over in this game, though, because there are a lot of defensive talents on both sides of the ball also out here. So a game where you're, it feels like you're playing a little bit for house money for some of these guys who typically don't get the minutes they are about to get. Show up for your family, show up for your own tape maybe for next year as well here. So points still could be scored. I think a lot of success will come from Jeff Sims and his feet, though.
One of the things I'm going to be looking at from this Arizona State defense is whether they're going to be able to turn over Darian Mensah, because while on the season as a whole he has done a good job of being able to take care of the football, there have been key games throughout Duke's campaign where the inability to take care of the ball, whether it's in the red zone or whether it sets up opponents with a short field, those have been some things that have been issues that have prevented Duke from being able to win some of those close games that honestly could have had them in the college football playoff right now instead of playing right here. But we are happy to see the ACC champions. But for Arizona State, they are going to be certainly looking to steal possessions given what they've got going offensively.
And Darian Mensah, a chance to make Duke history today, needs 180 passing yards to break a record that has stood since you were a wee lad growing up in Raleigh, North Carolina, Chip. It stood since the 1980s. He leads the ACC in passing yards and passing touchdowns.
Yeah, and Darian Mensah's been clutch. You think about the Clemson game, right? Being able to come up with the winning plays, the ACC championship, coming up with the winning plays. I think that Darian Mensah has shown he is worth every penny that they invested to bring him in. He's coming back for next year. This is one of those games where it is the end of one season, yes, but also a kickstart to his next campaign in 2026 where the Blue Devils will look to repeat as ACC champs. So give Darian Mensah a chance to win this late because the man's got the clutch gene.
I'm going to piggyback off with Chip and what he said about Arizona State's defense, and it's for the Duke Blue Devils. Can you protect the football?
Yeah.
Right? Versus ACC teams, they are out of this world when it comes to turnover margin.
Plus 18. It's crazy.
Right, plus 18. But when they play teams out of conference for some odd reason,
so bizarre.
-9. So to me, for Arizona State, with all the opt-outs, if they're going to have a chance in this game, they're going to have to turn over Darian Mensah and his team. Can the Blue Devils
we got two Devils in this game.
That's what's messing me up. Can the Blue Devils protect the football?
Yeah, protect the football, protect your running back, protect your quarterback, because this offensive line should have the advantage. I know they have some substitutions, but not anywhere near the list that you're seeing from Arizona State here, so that should be the advantage.
All right, it's Duke -3.5 right now on the spread, which it's really tough. I'm sure it's really tough for Sportsline to factor in all these opt-outs. What's your pick?
Yeah, I'll go with Duke to cover again. Just you have your starting quarterback. And this is the ACC Conference Champions. Let's put some respect on their name, shall we?
Yeah, I'm going with Ken's right. The continuity on the offensive side for Duke, I think, gives them the edge. Give me the Duke Blue Devils -3.5.
I'm going to go Duke 29-24. Duke's defense has been diced up from time to time.
Which is crazy what Manny Diaz as the head coach.
I think Arizona State will be able to score even being down so many of their key skill position players. Just getting stops has been tough, but ultimately, again, one of these quarterbacks is here, and one of these quarterbacks has delivered in tight games. So I'll go Blue Devils 29-24. That is a slight cover, and I think a slight over.
Yeah, let's take it over.
Jeff Sims, though, has experience against Duke. 3-0 all time against Duke when he was at Georgia Tech. This game coming up in just a couple of minutes on CBS and Paramount Plus. It's the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, Arizona State and Duke. Gary Danielson's final college football call on CBS. Enjoy.
This isn't just combat. It's cinema. The new home of UFC, Paramount Plus.
In the Champions League, every picture tells a story, and every great story
would you believe this?
needs an audience.
It's a really special moment.
The UEFA Champions League, every goal, every game, live on Paramount Plus.
Montana throwing in the end zone. Oh, caught it! Intercepted. Polamalu takes it home. Denver's going to win it on the first play of overtime. For the win! He caught it!
For For decades, CBS Sports has brought you iconic moments that define the NFL postseason. Count on us when the next great one unfolds. The NFL playoffs on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus.
My name is Jeffrey Manchester. I robbed 45 McDonald's.
Good morning, team.
And I've been living in a toy store for 6 months.
Authorities everywhere are on for the roof man.
But that wasn't even the crazy part.
I would like to introduce you to someone. Would you go out with me?
I would very much like to go out on a date with you.
You're not good at being a criminal.
Whatever you do, you can quit right now.
Oops.
What exactly is your plan?
So what's the play? The biggest and wildest mission yet comes home.
I like the sound of that.
It's nerve-shredding, heart-pounding, and delivers on every level. Tom Cruise.
I need you to trust me. One last time.
Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Now streaming on Paramount Plus.
We're partners, barely a month. Look how well we're doing. No, we're not partners. I already told you that. Oh, you're playing with the devil's money.
What do I do now?
He's gonna blow! Yours is a business that needs money to grow.
Being rich isn't my dream. It's yours.
Who's a gangster now? It's like I'm looking into a mirror.
Landman, new season, now streaming, only on Paramount Plus.
This is Europe's biggest stage.
Written in the stars! What a difference she has made!
The question is, can you handle it?
Can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
You can't count on Derek's tonk skills.
Oh, Tony, I think it hit the ground.
But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
Taking a look at the other afternoon and night games today, including Michigan, Texas in the Citrus Bowl, 3 Eastern. Then Utah, huge favorite against Nebraska in Morgan Scalley's first game as head coach for Kyle Whittingham, who is now at Michigan. And then our first CFP quarter, the Cotton Bowl, Miami and Ohio State to round out the night. All right, here are the 3 CFP games on New Year's Day, beginning with Oregon, Texas Tech in the Orange Bowl. That's the tightest spread of any CFP game. Then it's Bama, Indiana in the Rose Bowl, where it's expected to rain. And the Sugar Bowl capping things off on New Year's night, Ole Miss and Georgia in a rematch of a wild game in the regular season. We are going to hit the New Year's Day CFP games with our crew. I'm Chris Hassel with Sportsline's Mackenzie Brooks. We got our former player, Lige Douzable, and the host of the Cover 3 podcast, Chip Patterson, who's going to be at the Rose Bowl tomorrow. That